Welcome to the next Skinny Man devlog video for update 0.10.0. In this episode, I am currently planning on making slopes not only rotatable, but also available in 3D for the first time. Ordinarily, I'd say this is pretty easy, except slopes have a couple weird things going. The rotation of the slope that I already had to begin with is something that we have to keep in mind. That's mostly to do with vertex generation. But more importantly is how I actually ended up storing the data. Instead of what I did for everything else, which is store the top corner and then the size of it, I actually stored the two corner vertices of the slopes. Which means it's going to be a little bit more difficult because we're going to have to convert from that into center size, basically. And then use that to do all the remaining calculations. So, let's get into a time-lapse of me doing all the basic implementation for all the rotation stuff in this class, shall we? Okay, so I don't like to jinx myself, but that should actually theoretically be the entire implementation that I needed. I could imagine there are maybe some other issues, but we're just going to test it and see how things are going. So again, for the way that I made slopes able to slope in any direction before, or actually was by including a dedicated rotation value, which is specifically the thing that we are realistically testing here. So we're gonna just put in 4 of these, because obviously there are 4 of these rotation values. Of course there's gonna be some placement issue with slopes in 3D. I probably didn't fix it. I basically just gotta change how slopes are placed to take the standard input of the arguments instead of how I decided to change it to later. Anyhow, technically, this isn't a problem for us. As long as we can get all 4 slopes in here, this will work just fine for us. I probably should have made them something other than black so I could check lighting, but for now we'll just see, I guess, if these render correctly in 3D. So there's all 4 directions. And they're just... Wait, are they using the 2D vertices? Oh no, I never gave them depth. Ah. Well, the top one is just straight up incorrect regardless, as that's just a square, but I am interested to see what I did there. Yeah, that shouldn't be that. Okay, I gave them some depth and also a different color than black, and yeah, that's not right at all. Alright, so I've gotten the first triangle rendering here in the correct actual manner, and I've also, as you can see, decided, you know, make every face a different color. That way I can tell which face is which and which ones are being problematic. I've also discovered a couple winding order issues already, where the top red one here and the side yellow one were a bit dimmer than they should be, and in order to figure out if any of these other faces are getting winding order issues, I actually need to rotate it, but the problem being there is no 3D hitbox for this yet, so I need to first make that in order to be able to rotate this. Alright, I got the hitbox stuff sorted out, but this is not at the central position that I would want it to be. Just make sure, yeah, it is still working for all this. I shouldn't have messed it up enough for this to happen. Wonder how rotating it's gonna go. Oh, this feels weird. Oh yeah, I guess the center point isn't changing, but like... Alright, okay, here we go. exactly what we wanted to find out here. So both the triangles look like they had the incorrect, ooh. Oh wait, no, that's just in shade. Never mind. That one is, yeah. Or is it wrong now? Was it right before? Oh gosh, I'm very confused all of a sudden. Well, okay, that's facing away from the light right now, so that should be relatively dim. That's facing towards the light, that shouldn't be that dim. But I guess the difference with this side is that as it, like, comes around to the light, it... Well, obviously it depends. It does feel like it's getting... Well, okay, whatever. We'll get these other couple sides. What about the bottom side? Bottom side is fine. Okay, so the green side and the purplish side. Those need to be swapped. Okay, so it looks like at this point I got every single face wrong on this. Maybe my right hand or left hand rule shit is a little bit crusty. Oh. Wait. Why is the red side? I fixed the red side already. Why is that? Oh, gosh. What the heck? Yeah, blue side's definitely screwed right now. Oh, now I'm confused because I already fixed the red side. It was quite dim. Okay, well... Alright, I think everything is working as expected with the light right now. I mean, stuff on this side looks dark, but then again... Everything on this side looks dark. It's throwing me for a loop that red looks that dark, but that actually might just be what it looks like, because otherwise it does just look weird when it is facing the light like this. So we'll just call it there and move on to the next type of triangle. Okay, before I move on to the next thing, I just gotta say, wow, the 3D rotated triangle that is differently colored on each side looks very weird in 2D. Anyhow, alright, I've got the shape of the next triangle down here, as you can see. Not entirely sure why the green side is so dark there. It could quite possibly be just because of its direction compared to the light. We will rotate it here in a moment to find out. But also, if you're wondering what this other box is, this is this indicates the place that I actually tried to place this. Or at least where it's actually located in 2D. So I'm actually... This actually may be correct. Wait. This actually might not be... Wait. I mean, as you can see, this is where it thinks the center is. That's probably... This thing is actually probably centered correctly. But I've somehow screwed the center up. Actually, I can kind of think of how. For the actual thing that's being rendered here. But it's not a problem right now where we're just trying to get the vertices figured out. So if we rotate this round here, everything looks about correct. We can rotate the green up here. Oop, there we go. Everything is looking good, Alright, next triangle shape. Okay, actually, it looks like this next one is already correct. Man, I'm finding more and more bugs with these rotation stuff. Like, I moved this one a little bit, and for some reason it stretched it in this direction when I was trying to move it up and down, and now it's just not moving. Like, at all. The confusion. Back to where they're broken. This is what I was expecting to more see. Alright, it looks like all the triangles are now correctly being rendered with their vertices and all. Weird how that's flipping around like that. Oh well. Nothing too interesting. And also, rotations are seemingly the only thing that is currently working correctly. So, yeah, I guess we get to move on to fixing those other things. I guess starting with, where is the actual center of this? I might know why the vertices are a bit offset for that. Okay, it looks like I have fixed the 3D positioning. This is the upper corner here, and the rotation. Honestly, that looks weird, but that is technically where the center is calculated at. Center of all the vertices, well, center of the extremities of the vertices, I guess you would say. It does look a little weird, but that's just because, obviously, a triangle is half of the, like, area that a rectangle would be. But it does actually rotate with the rest of the structure now properly, which is really what we need. So, yeah. That's done. Now we gotta figure out why the heck its placement in 2D is so strange. Ugh, come on, I can't believe this. I've had this exact mistake before when I was redoing all the vertice-based code for the ground and stuff, and yet I still somehow missed it here. This here is the reason why we're having these placement issues, and specifically in 2D compared to 3D. That needs to have a Z and be a Z and not an X there. Okay, now it should all work properly. Huzzah, it works! Just as intended. Now I can revert the... Oh yeah, and that's actually the correct length as well. Now I can actually revert those colors back to what the actual set color is. And then we can figure out why, say, moving it isn't working whatsoever. I'm actually very confused as to why it's not moving right now. Click! Ah! Alright, I've gotten movement of the slopes in 3D completely working. I found out the actual issue was that I was... Well, there were two issues, first of all. Movement wasn't being operated correctly because I was just setting the top corner coordinate instead of actually moving the entire thing. So that needed to be adapted properly. And the other thing is there was a lot of places where I was directly accessing variables instead of using the getters, which need to, of course, be used in this situation because it has to translate from the corner vertices to the corner length style that everything else uses. Which I guess this is a good reason to use getters and setters as opposed to directly access the variables, because when you want to do something that operates differently from literally everything else, like I've done here, it makes it so you can just still slot things in and make them work as long as you implement those getters and setters to function properly. Anyhow, so yeah, that's this translation or transformation working. The other one that we have to do is size, which, I mean, I just have to fully modularize that because currently it's literally only accepting hard-coded ground objects and other rectangles for size changes. So I gotta fix that. That shouldn't be too hard though. Okay, so I finally figured out why resizing in the x-axis wasn't working. It's also quite embarrassing, but as you can see, resizing in all the axes is now working completely properly from all angles. We go down. I probably left something in the debugging there. We go up, we go to the side. It's all working now. Now, why wasn't it working? Well, simply because I forgot to capitalize the W in the override of the set with function. Yeah, that was kind of bad. Now, I'd forgotten to do this on both the slope and the stuff we did last time. But the reason why the stuff we did last time wasn't as big of a deal is because that didn't actually modify the behavior of the default set width, because default set width just sets dx. In addition, though, these ones also need to update the vertices, so it was weird when I was resizing the x-axis, it wasn't, like, updating the actual shape itself, which was very confusing, but I was like, oh, whatever, it doesn't look bad. But this time, because of how this has modified its behavior, both directions in the x-axis were all sorts of messed up, in addition to the fact that the vertices weren't being updated. But now I've found out the cause, and it's finally fixed. Alright, I have quickly done a couple little things. First of all, saving loading should now work for these things. And then the other thing that I quickly did was I made it so that when you're in 2D mode, if I go quickly switch back to that. Oh, wow. Doesn't this just look amazing? But this is accurate. But specifically, selection, when you're like selecting it, it'll actually... Ooh, I forgot I did that. It like actually highlights over the correct area instead of the unrotated area. So yeah, necessary but quick improvement. Anyhow, I believe that's now everything we need to do for normal slopes. Now we got to get the non-2D colliding version of slope implemented, which should just be mostly copy pasting. Okay, so I'm trying to test whether the other slope type is properly implemented, but I've also encountered this strange error here where for some reason it's having an issue finding the simple entity, which is incredibly confusing as I didn't change anything. Oh, this is always on top. That's right. I'm going to get rid of that. Oh, no. Okay, I didn't change anything related to the simple entity class. It's just, you know, some stuff with the slope and the hollow triangle or whatever. Why is it all of a sudden right now failing to load this? I'm very confused at the moment. Alright then, I have hopefully successfully implemented the at least 2D non-collidable version of the slopes here. We have, what are they called? Hollow slope. That's what they're called in the toolbox. But yes, that's them in 2D, and as you can see in 3D, they are solid like you would expect, same as the holographic ground components. They primarily exist so that you can do decoration in 2D without making them necessarily collidable with the player in 3D. That is obviously not entirely necessary. So they are made solid for simplicity, and so that you don't get confused in 3D. Basically, I think everything I needed to do with slopes in 3D done. Finally, we have sloped pieces, other than, I guess, now what is rotated ground, in 3D. Alright, so the next thing I've decided that I actually want to do here is I want to actually get an icon for the save button. Instead of it just being the word save, I want to actually have an icon for that. So actually, to do that, I've actually got like physical IRL references right now. Here, let me actually show them on camera here. I'm gonna go whoop. Ooh, look at that. It's a physical save icon. It's blue, just like the real one. I also have this other one here that's black. It has a label. That's the main reason why I wanted to pick this one up as well. But well, I mean, pick this up. I found it like laying around on a shelf behind me. But yeah, so I'm gonna try modeling this thing in processing, and we'll see how that goes. Alright, here's what I've come up with for the icon here. Now this is a bit larger than it will actually appear when it's being rendered on top of buttons. I just wanted to make sure I could, you know, see it correctly. But yeah, it, I think, looks quite accurate to the real-life versions that I'm staring at here. Obviously, the slanted corner there's a bit exaggerated, but you gotta do that. Come on, I mean, this is gonna be relatively small. Of course, you know, the little door at the top to actually protect the actual physical internal disc, as well as, you know, lines on the label. I tried my best with this. Maybe it's not the best, but I tried. What can I say? We got the little right protect hole over here, and then just the empty hole on the other side, and that is actually transparent, so if there was a different color background, that would be different. But yeah, now I actually just gotta put this into the level creator. Alright, so here's what the button is looking like on the primary overview screen instead of the text. Obviously, we have the button here. Definitely hope that you're able to tell that's supposed to be a save icon, but also, if we go into any of the stages here, we also now have the icon in the level creator. Of course, there's actually hover text here as well, so we can see that. But yeah, just one of the better, not necessarily better, but another one of the things, and also this should be appearing everywhere. So if we scroll down, if we look at a logic board here, we can see, oh, why is it not rendering here? I thought I had a render. Well, it should be rendering here. Like I was saying, there it is. It renders in the toolbox and really, or in the logic editor, and literally anywhere else that the save button was, it should hopefully now be rendering. And with that, I think that's all I wanted to do for this episode. It feels a bit shorter, but maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. There wasn't too much to add in this one, and I can say this is probably going to be the last video I'm putting out on the game before 0.10 drops, because now I got to work on levels. Woo! But yeah, so yeah, thanks for watching. Please, you know, let me know in the comments what you thought of all this. Blanket reminder that, you know, this is a development version of the game. Things may change between now and release. It's not currently available, but if you did want to check out the version that is currently available, that will be linked in the description, and I will always see you all in the next video. Bye!